Smart Speakers Daily, I'm Peter Stewart. Thanks very much. Also the producer and the host of Get a Better Broadcast podcast and video voice podcast and the 28-day flash briefing as well. Thanks very much indeed for listening. So serving up the best answers to a particular voice query is kind of, you could call it the Holy Grail that tech companies are seeking. All of the platforms are essentially trying to turn that into audio, but it's really hard at the moment. I'm riffing from and reviewing the article from pressgazette.co.uk. You can read it ahead of time via the smartspeakers.com/links, and also the details are in our show notes today. So trying to get an answer to a news article or a news question via an article is really hard, but that's essentially what Google is trying to do, and other platforms are trying to work with publishers, not just having bulletins being able to ask a specific question about something that's happening in the news. So you've got your bulletins, which are kind of standalone. We looked at this yesterday as flash briefings, but also atomized news being able to answer a specific question about the news. Already some publishers experimenting with voice metadata, so essentially turning text into speech that can be read out by the voice assistant, but that's not widely used in newsrooms or available to users at the moment. Obviously it's easier for companies and groups and organisations like the BBC to do that because they've already got an awful lot of audio which is available. Much harder for newspapers to kind of get their head around that, and also to have the facilities and the abilities to do that. So as I say, broadcasters pretty much dominating news by smart speaker at the moment, because it's something that radio and TV is set up for, even possibly over and above many news agencies, because radio and TV have already got the clips, they've got the broadcast skills, they've got the studios, they've got the voices, so it's pretty simple for them to lift or reversion radio bulletins, even easier than it is for TV content, and then they can create something at very little extra cost. Much harder for newspapers to do it. Some have done it, some are doing it at the moment, but then you've got to involve synthesized voices, which then turn the headlines automatically into something that kind of sounds like a bulletin, but it doesn't usually sound quite right at the moment. So publishers are focusing very often on long-form podcasts because that's easier for them to do if they're newspaper publishers than actual broadcasters. Okay, we're going to be looking at a bit more in this about what the BBC is doing. Heads up, I do work for the BBC tomorrow, but also The Guardian is focusing on Today. Now, that's a daily podcast, which is 25 minutes or so long. Very different proposition, and it's much more suited to many newspapers, and they're actually having a round table or interviewing their own reporters about certain subjects and so on. The reporters or the columnists who've actually written something for the newspaper about it, they are able to dig down. They don't naturally have the audio to do that themselves. Okay, I'm Peter Stewart. Thanks for the loan of your ears. Check out one of those other podcasts as well, 28-day flash briefing, and also Get a Better Broadcast podcast and video voice. I'm back tomorrow with more.
Part of the Briefcast.fm network.